So we've just finished my first live match for the Matrix cameras. And to say it's been a frustrating day is an understatement. However, we've had loads of fish, lots of bites, but we just need to target them bigger fish, that bigger stamp, in between the eye, the skimmers. We've done everything, covered maggots fishing, short pole fishing, long pole fishing, pellets, ground bait, you name it, we've covered it. But to say it's been frustrating is a really understatement. Did I catch enough bonus fish? You'll have to keep watching to find out. Right then, so match has just gone about 5 minutes ago now. We're always late, rushing about. But it's a 6 hour 15 match today, so we're in no rush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start short on pellets, hard pellets, just to be a bit selective, see what's going on. Try and catch a few early bonus fish. Now there's loads of fish in here. Like I said earlier, we're on Split Pond, I think it is. Never been on here before, so it'll be interesting. I don't really know what's going to happen. I know there's a lot of hiding here, fishing for a lot of everything. So that's why I'm being a bit selective to start, trying to pick off some better fish. But I'm nowhere near ready, as per usual. Got a bit of everything set up. Got some hard pellets, some maggots, got some ground bait when I need it. Some edge fishing maybe. Lots of hide, like I said, so I don't want to fish maggots or soft pellets to start, as I might catch a few of them. So we'll go in, see if we can catch a bonus fish or two, because I think I'd like to just ship and hide most chucks for the mid part of the match. So what I'm just going to do, 5 pellets. It's quite deep, this lake. Like 7 foot long, which surprised me a bit. I'm just going to start short here. Yeah, so it's like 7 foot long. So what I've done, it's a little bit annoying, but I've actually fished quite close to me on this short line. I'm going to turn this into maggots later on, but obviously I'm loose feeding maggots at 11 metres, slightly to my right, where there's a bit of room. So I don't want to split my fish almost. I want this line to be a bit more selective. Catch some bigger fish, hopefully. Try and catch a run of them better stamp fish. I.e. maybe some massive hide. There's some big hide in there. Maybe some skimmers, some F1s and a donor's carp like 1 or 2. And then obviously keep that loose fed line for basically just the mid-match tick over and ship and hide most chucks, hopefully. But what I did here when I drew my peg this morning, 28 I think we're on, is I've got a lot of room to my right, as in like they don't peg that little narrow bit. There's one lad on the end, but I'm basically the start, so I'm almost an M peg. And he said it's a little bit iffy sometimes here, i.e. there's not like the main shoal of the hide. So that's why I want to be a bit selective, see what we can catch. But I'm going to try and keep loose feeding them bait. I'm not set up loads of rigs either, because the new rule is you can't overshot, which, fair enough, that's great, makes it so much easier. So I've literally just set up a jigger to the side where, because it's so deep, I don't want to be setting up like 5 jiggers. Just thought I'd keep it simple. Set a really deep jigger up ahead of me, and then once I decide what the depth's at, I can just move all my stops to suit, and then I can just use that rig pretty much. I might have set another one up. I'll try and keep it selective, and then a couple of fixed rigs just to fish through the water on. That should just about do us with a hard pellet rig long, which I might have the chance of catching like a run of F1s and carp on the jigger later on. That's what someone mentioned as well. Because it's so deep, it actually makes sense. I feel like I might catch quite deep on it, so I'm going to start pinging a few pellets, but I don't want to start pinging pellets and maggots and then fishing short as well, split my fish. I'm just going to ease off on the pellets to start, see if it's right, because I might pop micros in long if it's really hard. Like, I'm not had a sign yet, so I'm not expecting it to go just yet. I think it's just going to be an easy way in, and there's lots of small fish to catch as well, like I keep saying, so it's almost decide as you go along what sort of match you want to fish. Now I'm looking round and everyone's started to pick up the catty, feeding the maggot line, so everyone's doing roughly the same thing, other than everyone's starting long. Not sure, but is that a little sign then? I just felt like with the depth, I didn't really want to start in 7 foot. See if them carp are patrolling the edges and the slopes, but it's still near on 5.5 foot where I'm fishing now. Just means deep enough. Just trying to look round, but I don't want to miss a bite. Keep loose feeding them maggots. The good thing is with that, the longer you leave it, the better it'll be. Because it's so deep, I'd rather catch them as shallow as I can. It makes it so much easier and quicker. It's a little bit awkward trying to feed out there, but like I said, I don't want to split my fish. I'd happily just sit and catch an eyed most drops of the odd bonus fish. I don't think you're going to need a massive weight. Pretty sure then your regular Stephen Forster's fishing. He's right at the other end of the lake on the end of the wind, next to that bridge sort of pontoon thing. Looks nice down there. It's fair to say he's won a fair few matches here, so try and see what he's doing, but to be fair, he told me last night what sort of fishing it was, to be fair. But we'll tick over doing this, and then if we get a bite or come off this and change, we'll catch back up. That's it for now. Right then, so, look at that for a fish. Lovely little skin that one, or bream. What I've done is just change my short line. Look at that, cracking fish that one. What I've done is just change my short line over to maggots. Probably half an hour in now, and it's not been going good on that pellets. Doesn't seem to be a lot of carp ones in the area. No one else has actually caught round us. So I've got to go off that, I've got to work off that. So I had just a little look shallow, just see if them eyed had settled yet. I had 2 tiny little blips and a few missed bites, but you just know they're not them proper eyed yet. So I just come straight off it. Obviously, but just before I went shallow, I just quickly turned that to maggots, gave it a couple of minutes, dropped back in. I probably waited 5 minutes and I've had a proper bite. So again, I'm just going to throw maggots. Was that a bite then? Yeah, just throwing them too accurate maybe. But keep firing them maggots, because the lad opposite, he just had 2 decent eyed, shallow. So bite then again. Just shows them once you start feeding maggots often, you just get loads of these rubbish fish. But what I'm going to do is actually click me fish rather than wait, because I don't think we're going to catch a big enough weight to worry about nets or anything like that. So I'm actually just going to click fish. Obviously we're not fishing for bites all match, i.e. numbers of fish, but it'd just be interesting to see how many bites you do get, how many fish you do catch, sorry. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep throwing maggots short. I don't want to do it too often though and bring them up and bring them blitz into the peg. What I mean by that is them rubbish fish, them really small fish. I want to be catching quality fish on this line. Obviously it's early in the match yet, and as you can see the floats getting the odd bite now. It's just some smaller fish, which are a bit annoying, but we've got a decent movement at 0.3, so just getting past them a little bit. Bulking 2, keep it simple, and then we're just fishing 0.12 to I think it's the new X1 hooks, brilliant hooks then. And then for all me hard pellet fishing and me banding and hair rigging, I'm just using the the new X5s. I love them. I've changed everything over to them now. All my caster fishing, my shallow fishing and all that where I'm using bands. I'm just using them X5s now. And then obviously for my carp I'm using my X6s. Brilliant them new Ranger hooks from Matrix. They really are. So I'm starting to get a few signs now, which is annoying. Because I know they're not them quality fish, but just a case of you just have to get through them, and I think obviously by fishing that bit closer to me like I am, it'll stop them from wanting to come up. So that was a proper bite then again. I think it's another little skimmer. So that was nice. Just shows by changing it how quick the match can start to change. So let's hide that one. Bit of a better one as well. Hooks come out. Probably 8 ounce that one. 6, 7 ounce at least. Just shows, you know, 2 or 3 of them and you got a pound, and you can soon start putting a weight together when you're not going to need a big weight anyway. So you can soon put a decent weight together. Be a cracking net of fish as well if we can just get bites. So by changing that over to maggots, and already you're getting signs straight away. Just shows that the fish are there. I was just fishing for the wrong fish. Maybe got a little bit greedy trying to target a big fish early, but I don't mind that because, like I said, you're not wasting too much time. No one really getting lots of bites. The lad opposite me just had another good-eyed shallow as well. He tends to be like a bit more flat calm than me, so he can present the rig a bit nicer, whereas I can't when it picks up. It's all right now. I'm liking this now. Just give it a lift and drop, see if we can catch one's eye. I'd be quite happy just fishing a nice rotate your line sort of match. Nick a fish here, nick a fish there, and maybe get a run. And it's a little annoying just catching them. Perch that one. Shows how many mouths are in here. Ridiculous. I'm just going to put 3 maggots on this time. Just got white and red mix. I like to keep it simple. Using up some old maggots. A bit harder, a bit bigger. Quality maggots, that's what you need. Keep feeding that shallow line. Let that rig settle in. Hopefully before, just after I've fed them. And then obviously I can focus on my rig. Thing is with the bulking too, you're getting straight down to what I like to call your bite zone. You don't want to be wasting time with your rig falling. You want to get straight down to where you're fishing. So it's effective. Little bite there. I want to be trying to catch some quality fish and bigger stamp silvers, and as the day goes on you might start catching some bonus fish, but at the minute we're just going to start fish for bites best we can. I've got red slick and a short kit, so that enables you to be a bit quicker, you know, swing them ones that are really small, speed you up that bit more. So I'm using the green fish for my shallow line because I want it to be a bit softer on the strike, and obviously I don't want them fish splashing and things like that. And because your rigs are, oh, that was a lovely bite, that one. I'm saying that was definitely an eider or something bigger. And just shows by fishing a bulk and drop, you're getting down to that bite zone which says about 18 inch away off the bottom, and that's where them fish will be starting to come off bottom a little bit, but that's you don't mind because your rig's getting down there and you're getting tight, so you're seeing your bites. Should have really hooked that one. It was a lovely bite, that one. Again, might just have to feed them out a little bit. Try and draw them bigger fish in. Make sure your maggots are still alright. That's the bonus for fishing close to you as well. You're a bit faster as well. But you see how I just chuck my rig in there? I'm not bothered, because once it starts getting down to the bottom after I've fed my shallow line, that's when I can lift and drop and tighten your rig out. Just like that, just a float length, and there you get a bite, see what I mean? I'm just watching it fall all the time. You know, and they're like 3 to a pound, but I don't mind catching them. Better than them little blips we're catching. So again, repeat that. Chuck your rig in, don't worry about your rig too much. Obviously don't tangle it or anything, but once it's in, almost forget about it, because obviously it's got to get to the bottom. Loose feed your bait. and you can get ready for that bite. You might just want to let it, see if you get a bite off from that. And if not, be ready for that lift and drop. A little bite then. Again, I'm not striking excessively, just a little lift. And then obviously I'm not having to relay my rig. See that? So I'm always fishing again straight away. I was a better bite that one, I was confident. See how you're fishing within a second again, rather than having to relay your rig and get your rig down. So obviously there's so much more benefits fishing a lighter rig. Again, a proper bite that one. So I'm liking this now, I feel like some better fish coming in. You're always going to miss bites, I'm afraid. I'd are the worst for it. But as long as you're not missing too many and you're quick and efficient. And if I was striking, lifting my rig out every time, you're slowing yourself down. Just shows them fish are competing already. You always get that slow bite when it's a rubbish fish. A little bit bigger though. Maybe 2 ounce, 3 ounce. Tell you what, I'm rubbish at clicking, I've been forgetting to click them. If I click all my fish this match, I reckon I'll still be 20 fish out. Absolutely terrible. Just flick your rig in. Forget about it for a second or two. Feed that bait. Got to keep them lines fed. And start getting into a rhythm as best as you can. And once your rig just about touches bottom like that, see if you get a bite. If not, lift and drop. That's the thing, when you lose feeding maggots and you've constantly got a column of bait falling through your peg, lifting and dropping is amazing. Obviously, you're basically just mimicking that bait going down again. And with that bulking too, that enables you to do that. It's gone a little bit quiet then. I say quiet, we've not had a bite for 20 seconds, but that's going off in the last few times. I've had a bite, nearly all the time. You're getting a sight. So maybe you'll catch a little bit better fish now. A better fish, maybe the bonus fishes come in and small fishes backs away. I don't really like to feed on my float. I want to try and wait till I get a bite and then I can feed. Because obviously we're fishing in nearly 6 foot of water here, so maggots are going to take probably 40 to 50 seconds for a bite. You see what I mean? Like, you can tell there's a bigger fish in the peg then. So then 40 to 50 seconds then maggots are taking to fall. By the time I put this fish back, ship in, my bait's probably catching up with them maggots. If anything, you've probably got a little bit of time to spare as well. I'm saying the maggots are probably half depth maybe. It's amazing, everyone thinks maggots falls a lot quicker. Again, chuck your rig in. Try and loose feed again. And then your bait's there, a little bite then. You can kind of tell which are then better fish and not. Little sign then again. I'll loose feed this time, try and draw it a little bit past that. You don't mind, because you're flicking your bait down there anyway. You want to be getting a group of fish in the peg so you can get bites quick. You've got to keep fishing the peg as well. Draw them bigger fish in by loose feeding. Obviously fishing close enough to yourself, loose feeding is great because you can be a bit more accurate. That wind's a little bit awkward though. Sometimes it stops, sometimes it picks up. Ooh, that was a nice bite. Got a bit too confident with that one. See how I struck a bit too confident, now I'm having to reflick my rig. Wasting time. Try and loose feed again. Keep that shallow line going. I feel like I should be loose feeding, but I don't really want to. So that felt like a nice bite, but probably still on that one from last time. Shows how catching a bigger stamp makes such a difference in your catch rate. So what we'll do, we'll keep plugging away with this, try and get into some sort of rhythm, hopefully some bigger fish turn up, and when they do, or when we reach another time mark, we'll just check in, see what we're doing, and unless we change, the moment I'm just going to keep plugging away with this, hopefully catch some bigger fish, and we'll catch up in half an hour or so. Right then, so we're an hour in, or just over an hour in, and it's obviously been pretty slow early on, but obviously we changed that short line to maggots, and then we had a little spell just getting bites. You know, no sort of weight, but just getting bites, and now I've got a bit of confidence in what I want to decide. Obviously pellets were rubbish really early on. I just don't think there's any big fish in my peg at the minute. So it's best off just fishing maggots, getting bites, just catching what you can, fishing through them smaller fish. You know, there's so many tiny fish in here, you know, I've got a couple of good journeys, fish like this, but I think once you get through them, you get like one or two better ride, and then so just putting fish in the net in this early stage of the match, I think that's the right decision. So we've got like 14 fish, best as I can click and remember, if I remember clicking. We've got about 14 fish. Obviously that's basically in the last 20 minutes sort of thing. We've not gone on that shallow line properly yet. So I think if I can just bounce off the two, you know, and try and put like 20 fish in the net every hour, 30 fish in the net. You know, if they're really small, then obviously it'll change. But at the minute, I'm going to try and get through to them better ride, which is definitely not as many small fish short now. Waiting a bit longer for bites, so I don't mind that. I'm just going to try and find what's best to catch them on. I mean, I can change it to casters if I need to. You know, this short line, be a little bit more selective. I'm just getting bites all the time, so I don't mind that. They're just unfortunately small. However, I can see the stamp just increasing throughout the day, so at the minute it's really slow. Now I can't see many people catching other than maybe Steve on the end down there. He's smacking the wind and wind hacking. It does look good down there for them bigger fish, but you know, if I can just keep putting fish in the net, try and keep in the leading pack at the minute, or thereabouts, and obviously when you do, or if you do get a run, or catch a few better fish later on maybe, and you're putting yourself up there, but rather than sitting on a bait that I'm quite confident isn't right, at the minute everyone around me is catching hide and smaller fish, so that seems to be the way to go. So now we're settled on that, we'll just keep ticking over. Probably going to have a look shallow in a minute. I'm quite confident in catching a few better fish short, but you never know, you've got to keep changing your line, and you never know, I might go in shallow and get a good run of hide. So I think that's what I'm going to do in a minute. As you can see, you do get the odd better one every now and then. I can swing that one. Although they look small, you're just putting fish in the net, just getting bites, keeping yourself busy. You know, obviously constantly putting bait in the peg, that's the biggest thing. Although they're small, you know, you can get away with feeding every time. So you're actually building a peg by not building the weight, waiting for some bigger fish to turn up. So yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. At the hour in mark, it's slow but steady on small fish, so we'll check up shortly, see how we're going. Right then, so another little catch-up time, and just that short line starts to die a little bit. A little tangle. We got lucky. But yeah, so that short line started to die on us a little bit, and just thought I'd come out on the shallow line, try it. Started off on a little deeper rig, fixery, of course, and then just first chuck on this shallow rig. And we've had a better eye, just like the one we were catching short. Keep feeding that short line. I just thought I'd taught you through the rigs I was using. Really simple, because obviously you can't overshot now here. It makes it so simple for them eyed. So all it is an F1 shallow, Matrix F1 shallow. Now they're a carbon stem with a 1.5mm bristle. They're like a little diamond shaped body on them. They're lovely really for fishing through the water. As you can see, you're getting lots of bites on this. And I've just got that in a 0.1 and a 0.2. And a little bit of a lash on them both, just so I can change the depths if I want to. And because obviously, as long as you've got long enough, a big enough back shot, so I've got 2 number 10 back shot on there, and that just holds your floats in position and holds it tight, so you don't miss as many bites. But obviously, like I said earlier with they're a pain to strike through anyway. So there are my 2 little fixed rigs. Now I've just got a jigger for if some F1s come in the peg and we're a little bit deeper. I'm trying to catch them bigger fish at the minute, because obviously can't win matches catching these. As much as they're filling the gaps, got to try and catch them bigger stamps. So I'm just going to shallow up an inch. Try and go an inch at a time. Just going to add another number 10 there, just to really control my float, so I can literally just like that short, hardly strike, just to get a little lift, and you're almost letting them hook themselves against your rig, rather than keep striking them to keep relaying your rig in. Again, you're losing that time all the time. So just holding it as tight as you can to that back shot. Keeping your rig tight makes you more efficient. Keep feeding that short line. Just try and work out what the best depth is. Keep giving it a lift. Just lots of little fish just nibbling at it and not hooking them, because they're that small, but really frustrating. You can see why an overshot rig would be good, because you can just get past them fish. Eventually just getting the odd one that hooks itself, but it needs to be them proper eyed. Whether them bigger eyed are sat below, I'm not sure. I'm just going to keep going through the rigs. I like past your feed and front of your feed. Just keep moving it, keep changing, and keep working for them bigger fish all the time. As you can see, they're just so prone to coming off because they're so small. Obviously, you've not got the elastic in for them. Don't want to be catching them anyway, really. They're just so small. So like an overshot rig would be so good because it's so heavy. You can almost be in control of it, flick it past them. And you flick it out fast, they don't even have a chance to pick it up sometimes. But I have got a jigger for that reason. Just shows earlier we were moaning about that short line not being quite big enough stamp, but if you could catch one of them small line every chuck, you'd be laughing. It's easier said than done though. You've got so many small fish in your peg. So just seeing if slapping's right and what depth them fish are sat at. So you keep getting more tiny ones, but maybe them bigger ones are sat. I thought them big ones might be sat really shallow, but maybe not. So what I'm going to do Just going to deepen that off a touch. Okay, you want to keep that back shot really close to your rig, your float, so you can keep hold of it and keep it tight. That's massive. You know, so it's almost like, keep saying, like bolt effect. Obviously because it's so small, it's a little bit different. Obviously with that wind, that's when you'd look to pick up a jigger or an overshotted rig where it's allowed, because the presentation just is so much nicer and cleaner. But might be a case of just dropping in it, seeing if some bigger fish are there, catching a couple, because I caught a couple quickly, and then once some bigger fish get caught, they seem to back out your peg. So what am I going to do? Put a heavier rig on, so I can be in control of it. I'll tell you what, let's try a jigger quick. Just see if there's anything sat below them. No. That might work. The only annoying thing is with this jigger, I've got quite a big lash because I don't know what depth I'm going to catch at yet. So, and one little thing, I've actually got a band on this because I might be fishing this for pellets later on. So at the minute, I'm just going to keep a band on because the maggot won't be on my hook. That way them small fish might not have a chance to pick it up. So we'll try that for the time being. So a quick little go on this, and then we'll sign off again. I'll just keep bringing you little updates every time I change, because it just shows we're changing so much on here. Just try and keep in touch with them better stamp eye. Everything seems to be small, but they're smaller and smaller. But you don't mind catching them when. But look at, like, when you fish a jigger, it's mental. You literally don't catch one. You only catch them better ones. I just caught himself, but it's like, just don't seem to be able to get hold of it. It's mental. I don't think a banded maggot is going to be good though, because they're just going to keep ripping it off. You might actually end up without one. The last thing you want to be doing is sat there fishing without bait on. But I mean, them medium super soft bands from Matrix, I use them for absolutely everything of it. Pellets, 8mm pellets for carp, or casters for shallow, or 4mm pellets, absolutely all my bands. I just use that size, that one size, that medium does everything. Brilliant. And then obviously if you want anything bigger, maybe if you're fishing for a really big carp on like a bomb, fishing like double 8mm pellet or baits like that, that's when you use a large. For me, just pretty much use a medium unless I'm doing what I've just said. So it's so easy to be able to get one packet of band and tie it on all my hooks. I'll tell you what, we'll sign off there because this doesn't seem to be happening. It's a bit slow still. I can see it coming good, so we'll sign off for now. And we'll catch up with you shortly. Again, just have another check-in. Right then, so 2.5 hours in, and that is actually the first little stocky we've had. So, although it's small, it just shows that maybe some fish are starting to come in. Now, we've actually had quite a bit of a change now. Like I said, we're 2.5 hours in, but we're not halfway through. It's a 6 hours and 15 match this, so we're about 25 minutes off the halfway point, something like that, I think, or half an hour or so. But once we get into that point, we've started to now actually understand what's going on. So I've decided what I want to do. I've actually stopped feeding that shallow line over there, you know, that 11 metre line where I was targeting a mide, purely based on the fact that they were so small. I knew that there wasn't them big-eyed, like normally on here you can, from what I've heard and from what I've seen on features and other, like my mates have done and stuff, the eyed in here actually are quite big. Like, if I drop in short, I am actually catching an odd better eyed. Like, they are the odd ones, like 10, 12 ounce. I know they're in here, and I know I feel like I'm not on them. So I've stopped feeding that line, so hopefully that stops drawing fish and wasting fish around there, because I can't catch them in numbers anyway. So at the minute, I'm just literally decided I'm just going to fish this maggot short line, try and get a run of them better fish or a better line, tick over and fill the gaps. And as you can see that I've just done then, I'm actually starting to really not force it, but I'm starting to really up the feed. I'm just feeding 4mm pellets long, not loads, but just in the hope to either draw some fish in on the bottom, because it's so deep, I have a chance of catching them shallow, and that's the main thing. Now, just over to my left, well, right at the bottom end of the lake, the windward end of the lake, is Stephen Foster. Now, Steve's brilliant on here, like I mentioned earlier, and he's catching really well. He's had like 20 little F1s and a big carp now as well. So I feel like catching them high just isn't going to do it. I'm going to really need to have to force it now. Not force it like I keep saying, but, you know, really try and make me match really simple and almost be aggressive. Now, the feeding can always change, but just by limiting myself by fishing just 2 lines for the next hour or two, and just keep having a look on each, hoping to get that run of fish, which I'm positive we will do. You know, like we're waiting longer for bites short now, so I'm actually happy about that. I feel like there's some bigger fish coming in and pushing them smaller fish out. So we're going to tick over doing that. Now we've got 43 fish on the clicker. So we have actually got bites, you know, a lot of bites since we last spoke, but again, they're just not the right samp. So we'll keep ticking over. And then once we go into that pellet line, just missed a nice bite as well. Once we go into that pellet line, then we're going to check in again, so it won't be long. But yeah, we'll check in 10-15 minutes or so when I go on that line and see if we can get, you know, an F1 or a carp quite quick, and then decide if they're going to catch shallow or not. But at the minute, we'll just persevere this short line, see if we can catch another one of them stockies. Just see what happens, really. Sussed it. Right then, so, lovely little fish. It's probably been 40 minutes now since we've had a bite. Now, we're getting so many signs on that long line with hard pellets, to a point where when it's almost like when you're feeding your shallow line on casters and you drop on it with a worm, so many signs just get bite chuck. Honestly, I've sat there, I could not get a bite whatsoever, and it just went flat calm, and I noticed a few little pimps, and I thought, Just wonder if you get a bite shallow. So I've just literally flicked a rig in shallow, almost first slap, just like flick it in the momentum, flick it past, and I've had one back straight away. That like 2.5 pound F1, cracking fish. You just wouldn't think there was a fish sat shallow. I've not had a line or nothing. It just shows it just looked like they're sat really high up. But then everywhere else you look around the lake and everyone's getting an odd bite on the bottom, just sat tapping pellets in. So I couldn't believe it really. But I mean, I might have just caught one that was sat eating an odd pellet falling, and you might not get a run of them. But when it went flat calm then, I just thought I'd give it a little flick. And I've had one, so ideally I just wanted to be able to catch one shallow maybe and then drop on the bottom and get a bite, but I just couldn't get a bite on the bottom. I could have sworn I'd have had a bite within 5 minutes after the amount of signs that I was having. Just loads of little pimps coming up like they're digging the bait out the bottom, like really trying to find your hook bait. So I felt like I was on the right hook bait, just whether a case of the way it plumbs up, it might be really silky, like when I plumbed up it felt really soft. So rig wise, obviously this shallow rig's just a 0.2 F1 shallow in the Matrix range. Like I mentioned earlier, just in a bit of a heavier size. And then deck rig, I'm just fishing a stubby slim. But not had a bite since. So it might just be a case of you just keep slapping it and getting an odd bite and then maybe getting a run. But the way it's turned now, it's just looking like an odd bite, maybe to the end. But I've still got probably, I'll just check, but got a fair bit of time left. So I'm not going to rush into anything yet. I just thought, we've got about 3 hours left now. It's a long way to go. Just over the halfway point. And we've probably not even got £10, so. But then you're only going to need £50 maybe to, maybe even to frame, so. It's not a lot of weight you're going to need to catch. And obviously after them last few fish I've had, you can see it's quite easy to build a weight if you start catching them bigger fish. Unfortunately, we've just not had them eyed and bigger eyed to like build to like 20-30 pound. That's what I was hoping to catch. Like if I could catch like 20-25 pound mid-match halfway through, I think you'd be laughing, but just not been able to catch. Just had a bite then. So it must be a better fish, that bite. So I'm just going to start loose feeding some more. It's just weird, your float sits lovely. It just looks so good for a bite as well. The sun's trying to come out, so maybe them fish are just sat really high up, like a little liner then. If anything, maybe my rig's a little bit too heavy. So maybe a lighter rig with a bit of a longer lash could be good. So when I get them bites, I'm getting them bites on the slat. i.e. as it's falling. Just loose feeding 3 or 4 pellets, slapping a rig in alternatively. Constantly throwing maggots short. Just trying to keep a line open so I can just drop in and get bites, but it's so slow, you don't really have a lot to work with. I definitely know I need some bigger fish now, so you never know, my next fish could be a £5 carp on this. I'm just going to drop it a little bit deeper maybe. Just a touch deeper. Just see if we start getting a few more bites. 3 inches maybe. Seems to be getting stuck around the pole a little bit then. Let's see if that works. Literally just fishing for a bite at a time now for bigger fish. Obviously pellets is selective, so you're not going to get nuisance by the hide. I wouldn't be surprised if that went straight away now. The F1s are being so crafty. It's that little bit deeper. If I started to miss some more bites on the slap, I'd be thinking they sat a bit higher, but I think the only reason I had a few bites on the slap was just coming to the noise, but they're a little bit shy. As I want to be going in and getting regular bites. Looks lovely now that sun's coming out. Shotting on this is just down the line, a few number 12s down the line. I think there's 5 on this, on a 0.2, and then 3 on a 0.1. Really nice and light. I feel like I'm getting another liner there, but might just be my back shot being quite close. You're looking for anything sudden, sharp, and if they were competing and feeding, you know, fishing like a jigger could be good, but because it's so hot and bright, I think just laying a rigging and slapping a rigging's best. It's just what looks best, so because I'm not getting any bites, I can't really, you can't work with what you were getting. Like I keep saying, if I was getting X amount of signs or bites at certain times and depths, then I'd have things to work with, but at the minute I'm just lacking a few signs of fish. But you just got to hope you're going to get a run. Keep feeding your line, keep giving yourself a chance of a run of fish. When you get it, you just got to make the most out of it. Right, so it's 2 o'clock, so we've got 2.5 hours of the match remaining, and to be honest, we never had another bite long, shallow, and once we had that big F1, I thought, you know what, this might just be the match. It's nick an odd one, but we not had another bite for probably 10 minutes, and then we dropped on the bottom. Didn't have a sign on the bottom either, and then I've just dropped on that maggot line, and I've had two decent eyed, and that little thing there. So the thing is, you can just get bites, but it's all well and good getting bites, but they just really are too small. But my only hope is that like this turns into some big skimmers, some F1s. I'm thinking maybe I need to like feed some ground bait. Just as I said, that one rips laggy out, and I think it is a big skimmer. So where's it in hide? There is a fair few just an eye. But there's a fair few carp actually swirling, cruising about. Another decent eye. So I felt like a flicker would be good, but then I feel like you just miss bites off an F1, even though we can't get bites. If you were going to get one, you just miss it, and you start telling yourself it's eyed, and it just gets messy. But everyone else just seems to be, well, down the lake, just seems to be fishing shallow, getting an odd bite, and then dropping on the bottom and getting a bite. I just can't seem to do that here. Whether there's not enough numbers of them, I'm not sure. Definitely going to think about feeding that edge soon. I'm still undecided what to feed, really. I feel like I could big pot ground bait, because yeah, it's positive, but it's only ground bait. I don't want to start like big potting micros or anything. Ideally, I was just going to drop in with like a cad pot of micros and just sit on like a piece of coral and try and wait for some bigger fish later on. But that's if I'd have had 30, 40 pounds in the net already. Whereas at the minute I'm thinking, right, I need to force it now. I might have like 10 pounds or something. I might have a bit more, I don't know, but I don't think I've got 10 pounds. So I'm like, I need to catch 50 pounds really in these last 2 hours. It's quite a big ask. I mean, it's not, because there are big fish in here, but you know, if we start catching steady now, it's not too hard to do, but definitely going to need to catch some bigger fish, and I think being positive with ground bait in the edge could be the way. Either fishing like we are getting bites here now, and they're slightly bigger. Well, they are bigger fish, aren't they? But they're not 50 pound worth of fish, even if you caught one every chuck. Well, every chuck maybe, but it takes some doing, and I don't think them are going to last. But the only good thing is if they don't last, like I said, they might turn into some bigger fish. The only thing I can do at the moment is just keep getting bites, keep putting something in the net. So if I do get a run of only 30 pound, I might have 20 pound of silvers by the come the end of the match. I need to keep feeding that pellet line, because last hour I could catch like 30 pound shallow. You just never know. It's that sort of venue where it looks like fish could rock up at any point. They might not rock up for long. So you know, a bite straight away, but again, small fish. At least I'm getting bites. Keeps you entertained anyway. So yeah, 2.5 hours of the match remains, I think. So we'll give it another half hour. Hopefully we're doing something different. Hopefully we've made a change that has an impact. But at the minute, I can't see past just shipping in, getting a bite, shipping back, feeding you. Is that bigger fish? Maybe bigger eyed. Definitely some odd bigger fish feed. It might be foul up that. Yeah, it was a little eyed, that's foul upped. That's all it was. So yeah, we'll give it half hour maybe. Keep checking in. As soon as we change, we'll be straight onto it. Because I think it could be mint. You know, when you get that run and the rock up, looks like it could be mega fishing. I mean, we've got 47 fish already. Or roughly anyway, if I can't count. That's including that big F1, so mega fishery really for bites. It's just on some pegs down there, they could be twice the size on average. Just we're out the wind, it's flat calm. Just the stamp seems to be on the small side. And there's not a number of bigger eyed. So maybe I should have just fished a really negative match and just shit for carp, and I might have had 3 or 4 carp and an F1 or 2. But then I always prefer to try and get bites and say you've done too much rather than do too little. And I'm thinking maybe I should have fed like micros and expanders to start long in that deep water, or micros and corn, and be a bit more negative. But again, with like micros and expanders, you could catch like skimmers, you could catch F1s, carp. So it does give you that variety. But yeah, I'll stop waffling and we'll catch back up in half an hour or so. Once we've started to change, hopefully. Good sign, isn't it? Good sign. Them eyes are like pulling the laggy out now. I'm like really confident. Like, that's what you normally catch on every peg down there. Right then, so just come off that short line. I did actually have like a nice F1 again, probably about £1 and a bit, and a couple of nice eyes, but it's never lasting. So what I'm going to do, I'm literally just going to start feeding this edge now. I feel like I need to get out of jail. You know, I might get a run shallow or short, but at the minute it's not happening. So no better time. Just feed that edge now. I'm just going to feed a small black ground bait. It's about 2 and a bit foot there. Just nice and let it come out nicely. Don't be tapping it out. Keep it neat. Just nice and like that. Beautiful, that really nice and heavy, yet still really light and fluffy, that mix. That's the F1 original and match method. I'm just going to rest that a bit longer and go back long. Just to see if we can nick one on the jigger, but because that wind's picked up, might have a little bit of confidence. I'm not going to give it long. I'm just literally going to have a quick ship out, see if you can nick one. And if not, I'm just going to drop short again. I'll try and keep an eye on the edge, see if anything comes in. So I might not see him come in, but you might see a very odd one leave the peg maybe. So that's what I'm looking for. Or some fish top or something like that. You know, them small fish when they top and fry and things like that. I feel like I need a run now. It needs to be sooner rather than later. Just don't know where I'm going to catch it. I know Stephen Foster's down there, he's catching really well. Probably well over £50 already, so he's definitely the front leader. Just looks so good down there. It's such a wide part of the lake, and the wind hacking down there. Where I am, it's probably only 28 metres wide. I think if I was fishing a full 16, I'd be touching the lad opposite me on his pole, so it's just so narrow here. But I think if the wind was up here, or if the fish was sat here, I think it could be lovely, but it seems to be a real struggle around me, especially where I am. But obviously my hope is I could catch in the edge. That would be my ideal get out of jail, because that's the place I've got all that room. I'm just going to drop back in short. See if we can get nick another F1 or two. Felt like there was some bigger fish coming in because I'd stopped getting them rubbish fish. I started getting like the odd better eyed, like 6-8 ounce, and then obviously I've had a little stocky like 8 ounce, but at least it's a stocky. And I've had an F1 about a pound and a little bit, so bites straight away. Small fish though, at least getting fish. I definitely think I've got it wrong though, but in fairness, I thought it'd be a lot easier than this. Not easier, but thought I'd just go in and catch a bigger stamp, so I'd have like 30 odd pound already. At least. Maybe even 50 pound already, you know, just catch some F1 short and then catch a few shallow and a carp on the bottom or something like that. But it's just not happened like that. So I'm really behind, but like I said, you've still got just under 2 hours of the match left, so there's loads of time yet. It's just trying to find where you're going to get that run. But in hindsight, which hindsight would win every match, but if I knew it was going to be hard or similar like this, I'd have just been really patient on one line long. Probably feed casters down there, like on the slope, like 3.5 to 4 foot, something like that. Maybe feed some worms as well. Catch some skimmers, some massive skimmers. I've had like 3 great big skimmers today. Not massive, but a pound and a bit. Lovely things. So like maggots obviously isn't enough for them to get them competing in the peg, and I don't want to start feeding ground bait in this depth of water because it's just not right. I feel like I'd limit myself from catching some F1s and things like that. But as you can see, that the stamp of hide's got a lot bigger. It's just not quick enough or good enough either. But lovely fish though. You know, probably 8 ounce that one. So again, we're gonna try and just work something out. Maybe start being more aggressive on this maggot line. Or maybe come into more shallow water. Just try and force a run of fish, because there's loads of fish showing, just clearly not. There's not in enough numbers to be able to want to compete. But like I say, it's coming to that time of day now where everything wants to start feeding, so you never know, it could just be like a flick of a switch and you start catching. But I'm just really struggling to see where I'm going to get a run of fish at this moment in time. Hopefully I just keep catching short and everything turns into an F1 and you get a run of fish and maybe a bonus carp. I could just catch in that edge, and I've got a lot of room, so that's me where I'm thinking if I'm going to catch that 50 pound I think I'm going to need. You know, if I can end up with 50 pound, I think that would put me in good stead. Apart from the win, I don't think you're going to win now because Steve's too good and he's on too many fish and he's miles ahead already. But at the end of the day, you've just got to try and win your section all the time. Compete with those around you. I think as long as you can do that, you know, you can't win the match off every peg, otherwise fishing won't be the way it is. So you've got to always look around you first, assess what you can catch, and I'm doing alright at the minute, you know, for those around me, even though it's so hard. Like we were talking about earlier, it's still cold at night. You know, this morning there was nearly frost on my windscreen, not frost, but you know, you could tell it was being cold. But then really hot in the day. So the air temperature is not fully warm yet. You know, there's no even signs of fish starting to spawn or anything, so I'm trying to see if there's any fish coming out of the edge, but there's not. So what I'm going to do, sign off again. We've got an hour and 49 minutes to go. So I'll probably sign in with just over an hour to go. And hopefully start to get a few bites and put a run together. So there's 50 minutes to go, and it's really hard work. Again, we've had a couple of eyes when we dropped back in short after coming on the edge. I tried that edge, never had a sign. Well, we had one little rope eyed, so dropped in short. Had a little, 2 or 3 quick eyed, 6-8 ounce. But other than that, it's just died a death, and then fed the edge again, dropped in short, couldn't get a bite. I've even fed like a little nugget of ground bait short, just trying to kickstart the peg again, try and draw some skimmers in, maybe some F1s, some stockies. Just can't get a bite on anything really. I'm just preying on a little run, a little burst of fish, or just an odd fish short to finish on, or maybe sneak a big fish in the edge, but it really is hard work. Now, I don't, I keep thinking what maybe I could have done or should have done, but you could do this on a peg down there and just catch. Like, I know Steve's caught really well most of the match, just steady, doing exactly what I've done pretty much. Pellets long, maggots short, and just getting bites, but everything he catches is bigger, and obviously every time he goes long he's getting a bite. Whether that's just we're in the wrong area, maybe because everyone around me is not really catching, just the odd eyed. Everyone's sat in the edge now, like, and they've still not had one. So it just shows how hard it is. But even on these hard days, maybe we've done the right thing fishing for them bites early. Because I think we're ahead of most that I can see in front of me. Obviously, we won't be ahead of them in the wind because they're just catching them better fish. But that's all you can really do sometimes, is catch what you can out your swim and the best around you. And obviously you should just catch an odd better fish in between, but we just haven't today. Like I keep saying, maybe I wanted to have fished a caster and worm line, like somewhere to my left there off that little point, because we're on a little bit of a point here, which is obviously why it's a bit narrow, but then it probably is a good short peg. Plums up, not great, but we've got so much room to our right, probably because it's narrow there, we can't peg it, but you just feel like it looks good for a carp or two in the edge, but they're just not feeding, and now it's hot bright, it's not making it look any better either. Just sat short trying to catch some fish, anything really. Keep throwing in some maggots, but it's not been hard work. But luckily we've had loads of bites, so it should make a good film and a good little clip of how I attack it. Even on the hardest of days, we've still got bites and fishing for bites, get the best out your peg. We've got 58 fish, and I think that's not including them couple of F1s we've got. So we've got a big F1 and a small F1. So we've had 60 fish pretty much, which just goes to show, even on, what you'd say on a weight, it's a poor day's fishing, but realistically getting 60 bites really isn't. Just unfortunately lack of them bonus fish. You never know, it could be a last 20-minute job where you catch 5, but just can't see it. Conditions aren't great for it. And just no one's really catching around either. But still a lovely day to be out in the sun. And luckily for us, we've had lots of bites, whereas other people, sat for bigger fish and it's not paid off for them. The lad to my left, I think he's only had a couple of bites, but obviously they're all bigger fish. So it can be a slow day, so maybe you should have sat a bit longer that first hour, got the wrong bait, shouldn't have fished pellets. I thought there'd be quite a lot of stockies about. That's just going off brief memory on the other lakes. I thought there'd be a lot more stockies to catch in between. There just hasn't been. So maybe that was a little bit wrong on my part. Definitely got it wrong for the day's fishing it's actually ended up being, but I think I've got actually the tactics right if you were to win the match. So although I'm sat here like, maybe I should have done this, should have done that, realistically I've actually fished the right match. So if I was coming again, I'd do the same stuff. The only thing I would do is obviously set that other line up out the way, and change that, that first hour sort of approach. and maybe not even fish that 11 metre maggot line, probably just fish this short line of section further where you can catch them shallow. But I like to keep it different because this line I've forced them down onto the bottom, I've forced them bigger fish, and I could have had 50 F1s on this. It's a little bit excessive, but do you see what I mean? It's the way I fed it and the rig and the way I fished it is totally different to that shallow line. That shallow line's all about little and often, keeping fish up in the water layers and catching them shallow. Whereas this line's about throwing more, less of the time, pinning them to the bottom, fishing that closer to you so they don't have the confidence to come up and compete. And obviously that in turn stops foul looking fish and stops fish coming off the bottom. Obviously you can get proper bites, but you know, eventually starting to get an odd bite on this now. I think they didn't like that ground bait that I fed at all. And then they've just come back in now, so what we'll do is we'll sign off there again and we'll catch up after the match for a little brief interview and see how it's gone on, or if we catch a few more towards the end, if we catch some bonus fish we'll tune in, but other than that we'll catch up after the match. Right, so that's the end of the match. Really tough till the end really. Match finished a bit earlier than we thought, actually 4 and a half, 4. But it's alright because we weren't planning on getting any times in the edge or anything. So yeah, it's a bit tough. I did have a nice skimmer just before the end, another like pound and a bit, and a nice hide, but other than that it's been really hard. Unfortunately there's been some bonus carp caught further down the lake in the wind late on, so that might have beaten me a few anglers, but other than that, around me, you know, I think 2 of the anglers packed up early opposite me. It just shows how hard it's been. Now, we've had a great day though. We had 62 fish, or around that. So loads of bites. Unfortunately, just none of them bigger fish. Possibly fished it a bit wrong, like I keep saying, for the type of match it's actually ended up being. But like everyone says, everyone's been caught out. So I'm not regretting anything other than that. So I'll tell you what, we'll just get geared up. We'll clean up a bit. We'll get weighed in, and then we'll do another one just after the match. Right then, so that's the end of the match, and to be honest, I'm a little bit frustrated. Felt like I had that feeling all match I just wasn't doing the right thing. Obviously, you can talk about excuses and things like that, and yeah, I've not been on the best of areas, best of fish, but the fish I've targeted and wanted to target all match were the small fish, were the skimmers, the eyed, you know, mainly eyed and some big skimmers, luckily. But now I look back, I think, you know what, I definitely should have brought a bit more bait. Now, obviously, I've not fished the lake before, so I've just gone off information from other lads, which, you know, you can appreciate and I appreciate, but I maybe should have looked at it earlier and gone, you know what, no, I'm going to set up a little bit more up. But in fairness, I felt like I'd be catching like 70, 80 pounds, so I felt like that was the right thing, and to be honest, it is the right. So what I've done, I've fished maggots short, pellets long, and then ground bait in the edge. Pretty simple, you know, sort of F1 and catch a bit of everything. But if I'd have been on fish, I'd have been great, and I'd have probably said this video, said, yeah, I got it bang on. So it's actually a good thing that we've not actually caught, or not that we've not caught, we've ended up with 31 pound, which is about middle of the field. A lot of the lads around me have not weighed in fairness, so it's definitely been a tough part of the lake, but I think I should have fed casters, maybe some worms, there's a little bit of ground bait and a bit more shallow water up the slope. It's definitely to my left because I'm on a bit of a point here, and I think I just looked at it and thought, no, maggot short would be right. Just going off other information, I maybe should have changed, had the bait with me, that little bit more effort, casters and worms maybe, and then probably start on like micros and expanders and more fish, a bit more of a negative match on the bottom. But again, I'm like, it's 7 foot deep. I'm guaranteed to catch shallow here surely. So I felt like hard pellets would be best because then I can obviously bring them up shallow. So I think it's just been a bit of a tough day. I think weather's been great. I don't really know. It's obviously the wind have pushed a lot of fish down. I think Stephen Force has won the match with 74 pound. But all in all, we've had 60 odd fish for 31 pound, which is a lot more than what we thought. Some cracking fish, you'll see. It's not too bad of a day, just a bit frustrating really. I felt like I should have done, you know, maybe something different, but then again I feel like that could have limited me to 50, 60 pound, whereas I felt like I could have caught 70, 80. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed that. I mean, like I say, it's been a bit frustrating, but I've actually enjoyed it, and I actually want to come back and, you know, put them things right, and that's what them hard matches do make you do. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. My first live match with the Matrix cameras, not gone quite as what we thought as well. But hopefully we'll get out on the next one or a next feature and you'll see me soon.